So, welcome to another watch build. Today I'm going to be putting together a Seiko Samurai for a good friend of mine. Let's get started. Today's build we'll be using a double dome with a blue AR crystal, a Seiko OEM bezel insert, a GMT chapter ring, Seiko OEM blue dial with some black samurai hands, the titanium samurai case with a titanium case back. Because I pre-installed the hands, I'm going to go ahead and have to remove these. We're going to use a dial protector, slide that under to protect the dial. There we go. We'll remove these. There we go. Then using the hand removal tool, it's going to go ahead and pop these off. But be very careful. This equipment is very delicate. Alright, and there we go. Hands are removed. And there you go. Alright, let's get started. The reason why I'm disassembling this to reassemble it is this dial, being an OEM Seiko dial, is designed for the 3.8 o'clock movement, and this watch is a 3 o'clock housing. So we gotta take off the dial feet and install dial dots so that we can have this installed properly. To remove this dial, we're going to go ahead and insert the small tool in this gap here and gently separate the dial from the movement. Go ahead and do that on both sides. Here we go. And there we go. Dial is safely removed. I'm going to go ahead and move the movement off to the side while we remove these dial feet and install dial dots instead. Gently set this here. Now, as I said in the previous video, to remove the dial feet, we're going to go ahead and take a small pair of pliers . Go ahead and grab the dial foot and then twist back and forth until the foot is removed. And do that on the other side as well. I don't want to just try to bend it off, because then you can have an uneven break or a little bit of the post still on there. By twisting it, you get the best and cleanest removal. So this one go off. There we go. So now we have a dial without any dial feet and ready to install our dial dots. I've already installed 2 of the dial dots. I'm going to go ahead and install 2 more since I have a surplus. Okay, so I've got these little tweezers and applying them to the spacer. And then removing the protector of the adhesive. So as you can see here, I already have one at the 6 and 12 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more, well, one here and then one here. And then we'll go ahead and install the dial. The next step is going to be installing the hands. So we're going to go ahead and just rotate the stem here until focused. We're getting close. There we go. So now we know the hour hand is going to be at the 12 o'clock position, so we can go ahead and install the hour hand. It looked like the hour hand was just a little bit too far forward, not sitting on the hour hand post. Alright. Looks like it went on that time. Add a little more pressure. Now to verify that it's on properly, we'll go ahead and rotate it. There we go. Go ahead and rotate this all the way around, make sure it clicks over at the 12 o'clock position. There we go. Perfect. Go one more time around for the minute hand installation. We are exactly at midnight, so I'll go a little bit slower. There we go. So we are exactly at the 12 o'clock position. I'm going to go ahead and change out this part for the minute hand. Insert that on. We launch back into position, make sure this is lined up onto the center post. There we go. So, using the same method, I'll grab the minute hand using a piece of Rodico. Align it with the post. Oh, it just popped right on. It looks like, yeah, that went on super easy. Double check, make sure that it is installed properly. There we go. And we'll double check that it centers up at the 12 o'clock position when it clicks over. From Seiko, it is usually a plus or minus 5 minutes. So 5 minutes early. Alright. We'll see how that adjusts. Now for the fun one, the second hand. So go ahead and pull the minute hand off. And install the second hand adapter. Line that up. I use my piece of Rodico. Grab the second hand. Now this one doesn't matter as much if it's at the 12 o'clock position. This one just takes a lot of patience, because if you bend that second hand in the center post, the movement is ruined. You have to buy a new movement. Get my magnifying glass in better position so I can see. Well, you can also see off center. There we go. side. Let's go again. Just readjust the magnifier so I can see what I'm doing and you can still watch. Alright, I got you off to the side so that I can look through my magnifier. This second hand post is super small. Go ahead. There we go. A lot easier when I can see what I'm doing. Next I gotta go ahead and put this in, and we can see that the second hand is alive, so it is installed properly. Pull that back out. Apply a little more pressure. Make sure the second hand is completely seated onto the post. Give it a good little rotation. Make sure nothing is going to be touching. There we go. Plug it in and give it a wind. And there we go. Hands are installed. Let's go ahead and start putting this watch together. So next step, I'm going to be cleaning the back of this bezel insert. It did come off of another factory watch, so it's got a little bit of the old adhesive on there. So just take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. Get that on there. That way we have a nice fresh start. A nice fresh start for our new watch. Right, well, I spared you all of the scrubbing. Now here's pretty much the final product after getting all the adhesive off. Do one more pass with the isopropyl alcohol, and then one pass with the dry side. Alright. And then one more pass with isopropyl alcohol, because yeah, there's some fuzzies that we don't want sticking their little ugly heads out on this. And there we go. A nice fresh start for this insert. Alright. So next, for this, we want to take our housing here and make sure that it is on a good center click, because you don't want to be moving this around and then having your bezel insert misaligned. So we want to make sure that it's on a fresh click. There we go. Nice good click on there. So we know that's centered. We're going to go ahead and install a new adhesive on the back of this. Now when installing these adhesive rings, I usually remove my finger cots because it's a lot. It is quite difficult to work with adhesives when you have these little finger cots on your fingers. Let's go ahead and pull this guy off. Alright, looks like it actually stuck to the ring this time. Unlike my last video where it stuck to the paper. Now we're going to go ahead and clamp this on. Alright, get some nice pressure on there. And we can pull the backing off with scissors. You can see the new adhesive. It's on the insert. Take this off. And as you can see, and there's a little notch. That's the center point for your chapter ring. I use that to line up the arrow on the bezel insert. That way I know, since we're on a fresh click, that it is going to be perfectly lined up on this insert. There we go. There's nice pressure. I can see that arrow is lined up perfectly with that notch. So we can go ahead and put this all the way around. There we go. Perfectly lined up. Next, we're going to go ahead and install the chapter ring. I'm going to put my finger cots back on, so I'll be right back. I got some fresh finger cots on. Go ahead and install this chapter ring. Let's see, and as you can see on the bottom of this right here, we have a little notch. That notch is going to go into here, and that notch is also lined up with the 24. There we go. Take a look at underneath. We can see that it has, in fact, slipped into that notch, so we know we are in the right position. Next, we're going to install the crystal. So we have a crystal press here. And we'll set the new crystal into the movement. Alright, so we got the crystal sitting in the movement. That's a little bit of those tight. Alright, there we go. We can back this camera up a little. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and slowly start pressing this crystal in. I'm going to make sure it's going in evenly. So I like to press it a little bit, rotate it, press in a little bit, rotate, and just continuing to do that. Looks like one side already went in too far. So if it doesn't fix itself, then we're going to have to pop this back out and try again. This is one of those things where you want to make sure it goes in completely evenly. Otherwise, you're not going to have good water resistance. That's one more time. Looking like it's going in evenly this time. Alright. Yeah, rotation and a press, rotation and a press, and it looks like it is in evenly this time. So there we go, the blue AR with the double dome crystal. So you'll have a little bit of crystal protruding from the edge. Alright, we get this cleaned up, and then we'll go ahead and start installing the movement. So I got the crystal all wiped off. Looking nice and shiny. And we have our movement here. We're going to install the movement. We're going to have to remove this temporary stem. So just pop it in our movement holder. We're going to remove this. There is a little L-shaped arm right here. We have to apply pressure to. And then the stem will come right out. So, pressure. There we go. That's been removed. Turn this movement back around. And we'll set it inside this case back here. to install it into our case here. Looking pretty good. You can see that it's in place. Once it's there, go ahead and take this case back off, and then slowly start applying pressure onto that spacer until it's fully seated. You take an extra care not to touch this balance wheel because it is extremely sensitive and delicate. And one thing I like to do is just move the rotor on top of it when I'm applying pressure on this side so I don't accidentally slip and touch it. Alright, let's take a look, make sure everything's still aligned. It is looking good. Wipe it down one more time. I want to make sure that this crystal is completely clean inside and out. Especially the inside, because you're not going to be able to clean that after the movement's installed unless you go ahead and disassemble it again. So there we go. That is pretty much our finished product. So the only thing that's left is we're going to have to get this stem trimmed down for this movement. And we are done. To install the case back, we already have a gasket pre-installed. And then I can throw it on the time graph to make sure that we are as accurate as possible. There we go. And one last shot up with the loom. I hope you enjoyed this assembly of a Samurai Seiko with a titanium case and OEM dial.